Prices are way down. Groceries are down. Everything's down. Energy's way down.
Prices are up in the United States for coffee. It's up almost 20%. Utility up 11.7%. And then electricity is up 5.1%. And vehicle repair, if you need your car fixed, it's up 11.5%.
Okay, so you want to send money to the military, Mr. President? I think that's a fantastic idea. What are we calling it?
Warrior Dividend.
Warrior Dividend. Great name. Great name. Okay, how many military personnel is going to get these checks?
More than 1,450,000.
I'm sorry, I didn't get that.
More than 1,450,000.
Was that 1,450,000?
1,450,000.
Okay, 1,450,000. All right. And how much is each of these checks going to be for?
In honor of our nation's founding in 1776, we are sending every soldier $1,776.
God, you are so smart. So smart. So smart. I mean, that's $2,575,200,000. But you know what? We can afford it. Anything for you. Jot that on down. Anything else you want to say, Mr. President?
Nobody understood that one until about 30 minutes ago.
I don't even understand it now, but we love you. Okay. All jokes aside, there are 2.1 million personnel in the United States military, 1.3 million of them being on active duty. So not everyone's going to get a check. I don't know what the actual number is. There was a fucking whole bunch of gibberish there, and nobody knew about it until 30 minutes ago. Kind of makes me feel like it's bullshit, like the Doge checks and these $2,000 checks that he's been talking about. And let's talk about the amount, okay? Everything is a fucking novelty or a gimmick to this clown. 1776, based off the birth year of our nation. $1,776 isn't even 1 month's rent at pretty much anywhere in the fucking country. Just because you want it to look cool when it comes out on the press that you did something named after the birth year of our country, like, fuck, man, do something more useful. If you're going to give them money, cover their whole fucking bills for like a month, like $5,000. That would be worth it. Before you start, no, I would absolutely love for the military to be receiving these checks. But here's my problem with it. It seems like just another play to make himself look good, and that these military members are not actually going to get anything. It's all just word salad. And that fucking pisses me off. Because don't use them as a pawn to make yourself look good. So fucking deliver or shut the fuck up. And if you're going to deliver, make it worth it. Not fucking pennies on the dollar.
Well, the president has just finished his address to the nation, and was that a speech? I mean, it felt almost like it was a bad, fast-talking infomercial with a lot of anti-immigrant language just intertwined in there. It was extremely loose on facts, and he basically tried to shout his alleged accomplishments at the American people as if that was going to convince them that they were all true. But first, I just want to quickly fact-check just a few. I mean, there were so many in there. We were working as quickly as we could, but just a few of the president's most blatant falsehoods. Tonight, Trump announced checks for $1,776 for U.S. troops. First of all, Congress controls the power of the purse in the country, not the president. So if that happens, that is Congress sending those checks, even if Trump puts his name on them. But that number, $1,776, is also kind of interesting because an analysis from the Yale Budget Lab estimates that as of November, Trump tariffs have cost Americans an average of $1,700 per household this year. Trump also claimed that when he took office, inflation was the worst in 48 years. That's not true. The truth is that inflation had been declining from its peak of 7% during the pandemic. But since Trump took office, it has basically flatlined at 3%. It was 3% in January, and it's 3% today. In his campaign, Trump also claimed he would end inflation on day one. Now, just last week, the chair of the Federal Reserve, Jerome Powell, said that, quote, inflation remains somewhat elevated. There you go. Trump said he's working to bring grocery prices down. Now, just this week, this is where it gets awkward for him, Trump's own agriculture department released a report showing that food prices are rising faster than inflation. And everybody, by the way, is living that at grocery stores. Trump also claimed that he's brought gas prices down to $1.99 a gallon. The national average for a gallon of gasoline was $3.11 when Trump took office. The national average today per AAA is $2.91. That is just a little taste and flavor, and I'm sure you all have your own lists at home.
Hey, this is Common Sense with Van Silk. Now, what we're going to do today, we're going to talk about Mr. Donald Trump, your president of the United States of America, number 47, the Grand Dragon. Now, I'm going to give you a little taste of how he treat people, how he talk to people, how he say things and he turn right around and say he didn't say it. This is the world that we live in right now with this guy for the next, 2.5 years. You know, women of color, low IQ, and everything he could say, imaginary. The staff, the people he picked, he trusts them all. They the best. They this, they that, you know. The tariffs, you know, the prices are down. What world is he living in? I think he got into Back to the Future, and he must have gotten to the DeLorean and took a trip. Because everything he's talking about, nah. Only thing I can agree upon with him, what they did with Snap. I'm gonna be honest. They took all the sugar and all the crap off there. That was needed because I seen people waste their Snap money just on junk. I'm gonna give him that. I don't know what 8 wars he ended. Oh yeah, I forgot. Where's the $2,000 checks you was getting? Oh, where's the Doge Fund check? And then now he gonna promise the military $1,776. Woo! Common Sense with Van Silk. You'll enjoy these segments. People opinion. Listen, anybody that follow him, I'm not going to use their opinion because they're blinded. They drink that Kool-Aid. You know it and I know it. Real people, real Americans will understand that this is not about politics right now. It's about being American and being honest and truthful to what we see. That's all I got to say. I'll be back. Van Silk, Common Sense with Van Silk. Say my name twice on rumble.com. I'm out.
The most obnoxious reporter in the whole place. Let me just tell you, you are an obnoxious, actually a terrible reporter, and it's always the same thing with you. I told you, whatever Pete Hegseth wants to do is okay with me. Listen to this.
Mr. President, you said you would have no problem with releasing the full video of that strike on September 2nd off the coast of Venezuela. Secretary Hegseth now says...
That's you said that. I didn't say that. This is ABC fake news.
You released video of that first boat strike on September 2nd, but not the second video. Will you release video of that strike so that the American people can see for themselves what happened?
I don't know what they have, but whatever they have, we'd certainly release. No problem.
You said that you would have no problem releasing the full bit. Okay, well, Secretary Hegseth...
No, whatever Hegseth wants to do is okay with me.
He now says it's under review. Are you ordering the Secretary to release that full video?
Whatever he decides is okay with me. So every boat we knock out of the water, every boat we save 25,000 American lives. That was a boat loaded up with drugs. I saw the video. They were trying to turn the boat back to where it could float. And we didn't want to see that because that boat was loaded up with drugs just like everything else. But every boat we shoot down, and I don't know if you know, we're 92 or 94% down in drugs coming in by the sea. And we're trying to find who are the 6%, because I don't know, people aren't liking to drive boats right now loaded up with drugs. But every single, think of that, every single boat we shoot out, on average, we save 25,000 American lives. Do you feel okay about that, Court?
Keep us safe.
Okay, I know my man. What about you, Bill? Are you okay with that?
I'm totally fine with that.
Are you committed to releasing the full video?
Didn't I just tell you that?
You said that it was...
You're the most obnoxious reporter in the whole place. Let me just tell you, you are an obnoxious, actually a terrible reporter, and it's always the same thing with you. I told you, whatever Pete Hegseth wants to do is okay with me.
Trump's speech tonight was full of false figures. Here's just a couple.
The price of a Thanksgiving turkey was down 33% compared to the Biden last year.
He loves this turkey number. He's been talking about it for a month. It's not true. Turkeys are actually up about 75% from Thanksgiving 2024. What he's referring to is the Walmart Thanksgiving meal deal, where they replaced name brand with store brand and they cut the meal in half and charged 33% less. And he's been touting that as he made Thanksgiving 33% cheaper.
Very importantly, there are more people working today than at any time in American history.
Yes, eggs are cheaper than they were in the spring when the huge avian flu egg shortage crisis ended. They are about the same exact price as they were this time last year. So the only thing that happened was a bird flu stopped.
Jake, President Trump was, believe it or not, marginally more careful with the facts tonight than he usually is. He was on script, so this was not like one of the usual ad-libbing rally speeches or debates with like 30 false claims. But by the standard of any politician in Washington who is not Donald Trump, that was still an extremely dishonest speech. I counted at least 13 flat false claims, and that is a preliminary count that doesn't include a whole bunch of additional misleading or uncorroborated claims. He, for example, repeated his false claim that foreign countries like China pay his tariffs, though Americans make those tariff payments. He wildly exaggerated figures on inflation and immigration under President Biden. He claimed to have terminated something called the Green New Scam, even though the Green New Deal congressional resolution was never actually passed, and Trump has not repealed the big environmental law that President Biden did pass. There's a lot more, as you said. You can read our full list on CNN.com. But now I want to go into detail on an important and eye-catching claim that was highly misleading. The president talked at length about millions of people being listed as alive in a Social Security database, even though they're obviously dead. Listen.
3.9 million people from ages 130 to 139. 3.5 million people from ages 140 to 149. And money is being paid to many of them because it just keeps getting paid and nobody does. And it really hurts Social Security and hurts our country. And one person is listed at 360 years of age, more than 100 years older than our country.
I've spoken to conservative experts about this claim, and they've noted, Jake, that the president is leaving out something absolutely critical to understanding this issue. Here's what he failed to explain. These numbers are not the numbers of dead people who are actually getting paid Social Security checks. Trump was referring to a legitimate problem with some deaths not being marked in the Social Security database, but that doesn't mean people listed as being 150, 200, 300 are actually getting money. And that's because Social Security already has a system in place to automatically cut off people who are listed as being 115 or older. Now, 2 years ago, an inspector general looked into this. She found there were about 19 million people 100 or older who were not marked as deceased. But critically, she also found that only 44,000 of these people were actually receiving payments. And one conservative expert told me even those 44K are likely legit payments, since at the time there were about 86,000 living Americans age 100 or older. Now let's listen to something the president said about the war in Ukraine.
Europe has sadly spent more money buying Russian oil and gas than they have spent on defending Ukraine, by far. Think of that. They've spent more buying Russian oil and gas than they have defending. And we've spent perhaps $350 billion, like taking candy from a baby. That's what happened. And they've spent $100 billion.
Those are fictional numbers, and this is a fictional narrative. President Trump keeps telling the story about how the U.S. has sent Ukraine way more than Europe has collectively. In fact, Europe has committed and provided more aid to Ukraine during this war than the U.S. has. So Trump said the U.S. has spent maybe $350 billion and Europe $100 billion. Well, a German think tank that closely tracks this issue found the U.S. has committed about $126 billion, actually allocated about $121 billion, so way less than $350 billion. He said Europe has spent $100 billion, while the think tank found Europe had committed $263 billion, so way more, actually allocated about $140 billion. Now, you can get different numbers with different counting methodologies, but nobody legitimate, even the U.S. government itself, has gotten anywhere close to that $350 billion figure that President Trump keeps using, Jake.
We're poised for an economic boom, the likes of which the world has never seen. I've secured a record-breaking $18 trillion of investment into the United States, which means jobs, wage increases, growth, factory openings, and far greater national security. Next year, you will also see the results of the largest tax cuts in American history. 1,450,000 military service members will receive a special we call warrior dividend before Christmas, a warrior dividend. In honor of our nation's founding in 1776, we are sending every soldier $1,776. Your drug costs will be plummeting downward. They'll be going down by numbers never conceived possible. You, the people, are finally going to be getting great health care at a lower cost. In the new year, I will announce some of the most aggressive housing reform plans in American history. I'll soon announce our next chairman of the Federal Reserve, someone who believes in lower interest rates by a lot, and mortgage payments will be coming down even further. Prices on electricity and everything else will fall dramatically.
Not even 24 hours after I posted this video, wondering if his warrior dividends were going to be bullshit, and it's coming out that they're bullshit. Those $1,776 checks that he wants to send out to the military out of his tariff revenue is actually coming out of a military housing stipend that's already been approved by Congress this summer in the amount of $2.9 billion. He's just claiming credit for it and rebranding its name. It's really par for the course for him. It wouldn't be the first time that he's claimed credit for something that he didn't do. Oh my God, you people. This is literally the definition of a snake oil salesman. He is taking something that you were already going to get, putting new wrapping paper on it, and calling it a gift. And you guys are just cool with that. Like, Jesus Christ, can I break into your house, steal your TV, then come over the next day and give it to you as a gift? Are you going to be so smitten you want to be best friends with me? Holy fuck, man. Wake up.
During a recent nationally televised primetime speech, the president announced that almost 1.5 million active duty service members would receive a one-time warrior dividend of $1,776 to commemorate the founding of America in 1776.
A warrior dividend in honor of our nation's founding in 1776. We are sending every soldier $1,776.
To and for the people who believe that this will materialize, I have to ask you or remind you, did you receive a $2,000 tariff stipend? What about your tips and Social Security? Are those still being taxed? Did you receive a $5,000 Doge dividend as he promised? Did we ever get that border wall that he swore Mexico was going to pay for, but then held Congress hostage for $15 billion for? Can you point to a single factual, quantifiable, concrete promise that this president has made, that he's kept, that has materialized, that you've seen? Because I can't. Even his promise to deport criminal, illegal immigrants or non-citizens is something that has fallen short. Especially when you consider the fact that about 2% of the people that ICE has deported have been convicted of criminal offenses. 75% had no criminal record. But I say this to remind you that of all that this president and administration has promised to you, the only thing they've managed to do is take from you. They've taken the services that our government has paid for most of our lifetimes. They've taken our wages, they've taken our tax dollars, they've taken our health care, they're taking our schools, they're taking away our rights and freedoms every day. And even if they had delivered on the cash that they promised, I feel like the things that we've lost have been worth way more than $8,776.